What's up everyone? It is the final video for this series. Now, if you guys stick around to the very end of this video, I have a very special present for you guys. So stick around to the end and let's get into creating teams. Our RPG game does not have that yet, so let's put this in. This is the easiest video for us to make, but it's kind of fiddly in that we're going all over the place for this code. So if we go to our cManager and we will just add in 3 new variables down here. All right, so these 3 are fairly simple. The allies and enemies variables, they are counters. They're going to keep track of how many units we have on the field, whether they're an ally or an enemy. And AI done will allow us to stop the code from running before letting it proceed. So don't worry about these 3 warnings because we're not using them yet. Let's save that and let's go to global left released. Here, we need to check if our selected unit team is not the same as the target of our attacks. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go over here into our unit up here, as well as in our targeting for our skills down here, and we are going to add in a few extra checks. All right, so here we go. We've got these new checks here for our regular targeting. We're going to check if our unit team, we haven't added that variable in yet, but we're going to check if our team is not the same as our selected target. And, oh sorry, not the selected target, but if our target is not the same team as our selected unit. If you don't want that, if you want your characters to be able to attack each other, that's fine. You can leave this check out. But generally speaking, you kind of want the same thing for our skill targeting. In fact, it's the exact same check. So after we click or after we let go of our left mouse button, we are going to check the teams as well down here for our skills. Fairly simple. Let's move on to the step. All right, in the step event here for our spawning code, we need to actually put in a way to spawn different objects. So this needs to go and needs to be replaced. All right, I just replaced that entire line of code there. And this is basically what we're doing. We are going to check to see if the spawner position is on the left side of the room. And if it is, we're going to set the team to 0. 0 will indicate that this character is a friendly unit, and 1 will indicate that it is an enemy. Now you could just have either allies or enemies in your game, but there might be instances where you have neutral units on the screen, in which case using 0, 1, or 2 would be much better than saying an enemy or ally as a bool. That's completely up to you. It's your architecture that you're going to work with. But basically this is what we will have. If it's on the left, it's an ally, and if it spawns on the right side, it's an enemy. All right. This next step here, we're going to comment this line of code out. The reason being for this is because we actually need to do some extra stuff down here in the start turn phase. All right, I've just added it in, and here you can see that we're just going to loop through the entire scene, and we're going to look for p-units or any object that is a child of parent unit, and we're going to add that to the list. This whole thing will become more apparent later, but basically we need to reset the list as we go through our game. Now we're not quite done yet. The next thing is the wait phase down here. And for our wait, we need to add in a few checks for our AI. All right, it's a very simple check. All it's going to do is if the global selected unit, if the team is not our friendly unit, and if our AI is not done, then we need to run this script. We will create this script at the end, towards the end of the video, so don't worry about it now, but just write in AIChoose as a function call down here. All right, the next phase after this is of course the process phase, and we are going to do a couple of things here. The first thing is we are going to reset our allies and enemies counters. The reason why we want to do this is as we run through our loop for when we check how many units we have, that's going to really determine whether we lose the encounter or win, or whether we keep going with the actual room or the scene itself. So these two variables and resetting them at the start of the process phase is very important. The next thing that we're going to do is fairly simple. What we're going to do in this if check is we are going to add in a couple of new things. The first one here is we are going to set the selected unit to none. Now we are doing this down here at the bottom as well. We're going to do that later, but for now just leave it up here in selected in the process phase. The next one here is, of course, we need to reset the process finished flag, and we need to set that to false. You could technically have this down here and check finished. That's fine. That's up to you guys whether you want it up here in the process phase or down here and check finished. For me personally, I'm going to keep it in the check finished section, and so I'll comment that out. Again, that's something for you guys to choose. The last thing that we have to do is actually move this phase here. Instead of combat phase being at the top of process finished, we're going to leave it for after. Now, if you really think about it, what's happening is we are going to move on to the next phase before this section of code even gets a chance to run. So just to be safe, put it down here at the bottom, right at the end of the case. All right, the next section here is in check finish. Now for this, we need to comment this out, and we're going to make some space under process finished. Here is where we'll put our new code. Okay, first things first, we're going to run a for loop through our entire list of units, and we are going to get that unit's team down here. If the unit team is 0, it means that we're going to have allies. Otherwise, we're going to have enemies. Now we're not quite done yet because outside of this loop we need to do some other stuff. Now I've made a bit of space here so it's easier for you guys to see. I'll scroll down a bit for you guys. Now basically what we're going to do is we're going to check. We're going to do exactly what this phase is supposed to do. If we have 0 allies or fewer than 0 allies, just to be safe, then we are going to go into the lose phase. If we have 0 enemies left, or fewer than 0 enemies, then we are going to go into the win phase. And if neither of these two things are true, then we need to go to the end turn, and end turn will eventually go back to the start turn. So for your win phase and your lose phase, you can put some of your own code in there. That's totally fine. But for me, all I'm going to do is just add a little message. All right, so I skipped ahead a bit and we now have 2 messages that pop up if you win or if you lose. But for end turn, obviously, we're going to loop back to the very top to the start turn phase. And so you don't really need to do much else for that. Having said that though, we do still have to do a few things for end turn. All right, these are the 3 lines that we've added in. First is we are going to clear our global units list. Just in case a unit dies on our field, then we need to get rid of that from our global units. The next one is, of course, AI done needs to be set to false, and combat phase needs to return to start turn. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to clear our global units. This is to essentially reset the whole list and make sure that there's no issues there. And the second one is we are going to set our AI done back to false so that just in case we have an enemy take their turn, that's all set well and good. And of course, lastly, we're going to go back to the start turn. All right, that's basically it for the step event. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to clear our global units, and then we're going to set AI done to false. And after all of that is done, we are going to loop back to the start of the turn. All right, I think that's good. Another option that you could have and something that you should consider is having process finished down here in end turn, and you can set that to false down here. So let me just copy and paste this for you guys. Experiment with your code a little bit. I think you might find that you might be able to get something out of it. I'm going to comment that out, but if there's anything wrong with your code, see what happens if you take your process finished and set it to false down here at the end of the term. All right, saving that out, that basically rounds out our cManager. Let's now go over to unit events. The first thing that we're going to need to do is go into create event. And of course, we need that one new variable, which is team. Okay, fairly straightforward. And basically, I'm just going to add in a quick note for you guys. If our team, let me expand that a little bit. There we go. It's a little bit easier to see now. I know I'm already halfway through the video, but that didn't occur to me until just now. So if our team is 0, that means that we have an ally. And if we have 1, that means that the unit is an enemy. However, like I said before, if you plan on having neutral units, then you have the option of having 2 as, say, neutral. Again, if you absolutely know that you won't have neutral units, then this team can essentially be a true or false flag. That's completely up to you. For me though, I want a little bit of flexibility in this, and so I've added it as a 1, 0, 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or whatever. The idea here is that we can have multiple teams, so maybe you want different teams of enemies attacking each other. It's kind of a weird concept, but it's possible. Then taking the integer approach is much better for you guys. All right, so save out the create event. That's pretty much done. In our step event, we don't have much to do here in our actual state machine. What we want to have a look at instead is our targeting. Now it's quite a simple adjustment. All we need to do is we need to check to see if our selected unit team is not the same as the unit that we are targeting. And if they're not the same, that means that they're on the other team. And so we can draw the target square around them. All right, in the draw event here, this is something for you guys to test out. It's completely optional. You don't have to do this, but basically we're going to make it obvious, at least to us, the developers, that a particular character is on a certain team. And to do that, all you have to do is write out draw text and put the string team number in, and that's basically it. Okay, saving that out, we're pretty much done with the unit events. The last step here is to write the code for our AIChoose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here. And we are going to write a new function, right? Function. Of course, I called mine AIChoose. Takes no parameters. All right, open and close. So let's check the spelling. Let's make sure that it is correct. There it is, AIChoose. And you can see now, you can confirm that it goes from blue to this orange yellow. I'm using the default color scheme for GMS just so that I don't annoy you guys with different color schemes. All right, the next thing is we are going to fill this out. Something that I should mention now is that it's going to be a very simple AI. It's just going to pick a random unit and it will attack that character. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to run a loop of all the global units, and we are going to store these units in a temporary variable. We're going to read this team, right? And if this team is not the same as the selected unit, what we're going to do is create it to a list of targets, right? This is the exact same list that we have up here, this targets list. The only difference here is because we need to do this for our AI, we're not clicking or doing anything like that. We need to kind of have it do things automatically. Now, once this list is in place, we can then do something with it. Once we have that unit in place, right? Once we have that instance, we're going to store our list into a variable. We're going to grab a random unit from that list and store it in this variable. We're then going to clear the selected targets list just in case something has happened. Once the selected targets list is clear, we are going to take our selected unit, of course, and we're going to run the basic attack code. After that, we are going to go ahead and add that unit that we randomly selected and we're going to add that to our selected targets list. And then the last step here is to set the cManager.ai done variable to true. And that's basically it for our AIChoose. Like I said, it's very simple, kind of dumb, but hopefully that works out for us. So let's save that. Let's play our game a little bit. Here we can see that our characters are now sorted into teams. And if I click attack, see that we can highlight our enemies, but not our allies or ourselves, which is fine. That's good. That's what we wanted. All right, so that's basically the end of it. I know I kind of rushed through it, but anyway, guys, thank you so much for being with me this entire series. It's taken a whole year to upload, but hey, if you made it this far, then next year we will hopefully be able to polish things up and make things at least somewhat acceptable. So look forward to that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.